Okay, let's go over our weekly market recap for June 3rd, 2024. Our market headline number one is stocks bounce back in May after a dismal April. We see the NASDAQ, S&P Global Equity, and the Dow all positive for the month, and gold and bonds also were positive. But let's go ahead and take a look at our second quarter to date. So this is April and May. Gold is the big winner at 4.8, while the NASDAQ Global Equity and the S&P 500 are barely above the breaking point, while we have the Dow actually the biggest loser out of the group, and the bonds are still negative for the second quarter to date. Market headline number two is inflation is still above the Fed's target. The preferred inflation gauge, the core PCE index, rose 0.25 in April. Some of the January through March figures were revised down ever so slightly. But if you look at the graph here, the 12-month change actually is at a 3-year low and continuing to go down because we are at such high levels. But if you look at the 6-month, it is starting to go up, and it's above 3% at almost 3.2. And the 3-month, after peaking out at about 4.2, has now come back down to 3.5. Bottom line is that we are still about 100 to 150 basis points away from the Fed's inflation target at 2%. So we're kind of meandering in this 3% range, and will probably continue. All right, market headline number three is GDP is actually heading lower. Growth is slowing. And so we had the second revision for the first quarter US GDP, and it was revised down from 1.6 down to 1.3. Let's zoom out to see what the second quarter looks like. Well, initial estimates were in the 4.2% range, and they have come all the way down to 1.8 as of Monday morning. So bottom line, again, the economy is slowing. We're in that 1% to 2% range for growth. So not a lot of growth, and we have inflation kind of high. So we've got to see that inflation come down so we can get that growth back up. All right, top three market movers for this week. On Tuesday, we get CrowdStrike, which is one of the leading stocks in the cybersecurity sector. So that'll be the big earnings report this week. Wednesday, we get ADP, which is the private sector report, and the estimates are at 175,000 versus 192 from last month. But more importantly, the big number will probably be Friday with the non-farm payroll, estimated at 185, which is slightly higher than 175 in April, but a lot lower than 315 in March. So we've got to see this number probably not be lower than 175. Otherwise, we're going to be, this market is not going to like that. All right, as I said here, some of the corporate earnings for this week. CrowdStrike is the big one coming on Tuesday. We get Lululemon and Dollar Tree on Wednesday, and DocuSign and Neo probably to wrap up the earnings season for the second quarter. All right, let's take a look at the equity chart in the form of the S&P 500 to see where we are on a short-term basis. We started adding back on May 6th, and so far so good. However, I do have to point out that even though we're hitting all-time highs on our large cap equities, the strength underneath, the breadth, is not there right now. So we've got to see this market extend out or even continue to trek slightly higher and bring that strength back. Otherwise, we're going to easily come back down and retest the 5,000 or possibly the moving averages in the 45 to 4,800 level. That's it for this week. Thank you for joining us. Our next update is Monday, June 10th. As always, continue to subscribe, like, and follow, and we shall see you next week. Have a great week trading.